Hello, and welcome to week 2 of the summer mixtape readathon. So it was Monday evening. Last week we did get through 2 books out of the 5 book prompts. And then today I did pick up Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. Ojeda? I think it's Ojeda. The entire time I've had this book, I thought that this was a D. It is an O. It's Ojeda. And I'm only 20 pages into this. I really haven't really started it at all. However, I can tell already that it's going to be a very, very dark horror. I mean, so far I'm very intrigued. But I picked this as the book that is inspired by a summer song. And if you watched my TBR for this readathon, the way I had to do some mental gymnastics in order to reach my decision for this book, but it does all link, I swear it does, because when I was trying to come up with a summer song, the only thing that I could think of was Summertime by Lana Del Rey, and I started thinking, well, what would Lana Del Rey read? And I'm absolutely convinced that her whole persona that she puts on with her music, I have no idea if that's how she actually is or what, but kind of the music persona, I'm convinced would be obsessed with Bunny by Mona Awad. And when I bought this book, I bought it because the synopsis reminds me of Bunny a lot. So that's why I picked this book. I am going to just read the synopsis off the back of this in order to give you an idea of what it's about, because like I said, I'm only really 20 pages in, and so I can't really build my own synopsis except if I use the one back here, and I think the one back here just explains things a lot better than I could if I tried to reword it. So it says, when Fernanda, Annalise, and their friends from the Delta Bilingual Academy convene after school, Annalise leads them in thrilling but increasingly dangerous rituals to a rhinestoned, Dior-scented drag queen god of her own invention. Even more perilous is a secret Annalise and Fernanda share, rooted in a dare in which violence meets love. Meanwhile, their literature teacher, Miss Clara, who is obsessed with imitating her dead mother, struggles to preserve her deteriorating sanity. Each day she edges nearer to a total break with reality. Interweaving pop culture references and horror concepts drawn from Herman Melville, H.P. Lovecraft, and anonymous creepypastas, Jawbone is an ominous, multivocal novel that explores the terror inherent in the pure potentiality of adolescence and the fine line between desire and fear. So this is a translated work. It's originally from Latin America, so it's translated from Spanish by Sarah Booker. And yeah, I'm excited to really delve into this. It's less than 300 pages. Yeah, it's only 259 pages long. So, hopefully I will, really get into this. Yeah, it's pretty short. So I just wanted to update you in order to kick this vlog off, but I will be kind of chilling out and reading this throughout the rest of the evening. But yeah, like I said, I'm only 20 pages in, so I will check back in with you once I actually have some initial thoughts about this. Hello again. It is Tuesday morning. Today I have a beta reading project to work on actually today, so I'm very, very excited about that. And so I decided that I wanted to get up and get out of the apartment this morning. So I'm gonna go to a coffee shop to work for a bit. I normally, if I want to get out of the apartment, I just walk down to the library that's right behind my apartment building and work there. However, I wanted to be able to eat lunch and not have to come back home and eat lunch, and I just feel weird about eating in the library because growing up, the school's library, you weren't allowed to have food and drink in there, and this one I know for sure you're allowed to have something to drink in there. I've never seen anybody else eat in there, so I'm afraid I don't know if I'm actually allowed to eat or not. So I decided I'm just gonna go to a coffee shop. That way I can stay there and work longer and have lunch And yeah, so that's my plan. I'm kind of excited to go to this one because it's about half the bus ride that like compared to where I normally go when I want to like go read in a coffee shop or whatever, which I haven't done in like forever. But I was like Googling, trying to find ones that, I don't know, something different, I guess. And this one is set up in kind of like a really old bank, which I've passed this bank like quite a few times because some of my favorite shops, mine and Connor's, are kind of in this general area, and we've driven past this bank like all the time, and I didn't realize that it was a coffee shop because it just looks like an old bank. So I'm kind of excited to go to that one, and it looks like it's one where people like normally bring their laptops and work. Like, you know, some coffee shops are like not like that, I guess. So that's my plan for today. I'm excited about this beta reading project. So it's actually not the entire book. It's the first half, and he was just wanting feedback on the first half. It's still like 290 pages in like PDF form. I mean, it's double spaced, but still, like, it's a significant amount, and it's a fantasy novel, and he put his job on the website. He advertised it as like for fans of Brandon Sanderson, Pat Rothfuss, I don't know, I've actually never read him, and George R. R. Martin. And I mean, I've talked on here how I've been enjoying my exploration of Brandon Sanderson's work, and I've always loved Game of Thrones. I read the whole series, well, the whole series up through A Dance with Dragons, in college, and I just absolutely loved it. So I'm very excited about that. But then when I applied, apparently he had like over 100 applicants, and he told me that mine really stood out to him, and he found that it really made an impression on him out of the like 100 applications that he had gotten. And I was like, oh, good. I'm glad I'm doing something right here. So I'm very excited. I do have the PDF already, and I just like kind of glanced at the first page, and I'm very excited. I'm really looking forward to get to like delve into this and beta read this for this guy and give him some you know, feedback and stuff. I'm really excited. So that is my plan for today. I don't know, I rambled on quite a bit about that. But in terms of reading updates, we are about 80 pages through Jawbone. This is another situation where I had initially, like yesterday when I sat down to read, I had planned on getting further than 80 pages through this. I mean, 80 pages is still, it's decent compared, like, considering this is a pretty short book. It's not horrible, but, like, I'm struggling with, I guess, the writing style or, like, the format of this book. This is another case where objectively, it's actually really good writing style. It's just, it's stylistic. A lot of the stylistic choices are like jarring to me. There's like a couple of formats. There's like some of it is in, hold on, let me find like a good example, almost like transcripts of like conversations, and then there's like the normal prose, but the normal prose has like very few paragraph breaks compared to what it normally has. Like, and this is like a very extreme example. Most of the time there's like, you know, one paragraph break per page. Sometimes there's a few more. But like, for example, this paragraph starts on this page, goes to this page, goes through this page, this page, and ends on this page. And do you know how many dialogue exchanges there were on this? A lot. There's a lot of dialogue exchanges throughout that, like, one paragraph. That was a very extreme version. They're not always like that, but, like, it's not uncommon for like a paragraph to take up a whole page or like 3/4 of a page. So it like throws me off, and I have to like really focus on like what I'm reading instead of just like reading at my normal pace. And then another thing is like for one of the characters' perspectives, and like it's literally like like mentioned explicitly in this book that she likes to, like, when she writes with a lot of like parentheses or like a lot of em dashes, and so then her chapters are told using those a lot, and it gets a little confusing, especially when you have like an em dash and then another em dash within that, and it's like holy moly. But it does a really good job of like giving us that character's mindset and how like rambly and kind of scattered she is. So I understand why we have these like stylistic choices. It's just making me take a lot longer to get through this book, and like really slow down my pace of reading, so that I can actually like know what's going on and follow the story and appreciate it. It is very interesting. We're also in a non-linear timeline, and I mentioned like we're following Fernanda's perspective, which she's one of the students in this like group of girls, and then we're following Clara's perspective, and she is their language and literature teacher, and we're following like I said, a non-linear timeline. So we're following Clara as she's getting hired for this position, and then we're following the girls when, like, at a timeline where they already have Clara as a teacher, and it's like during the school year. And then we're also following the timeline, and it's not a spoiler because it literally says it up here in the first, like, this little section that I have never actually read to you guys. It says, Fernanda and Annalise are so close, they're practically sisters, a double image, inseparable. So how does Fernanda end up bound on the floor of a deserted cabin, held hostage by one of her teachers, and estranged from Annalise? So from the first chapter, we're following the timeline of, like, down the road where Fernanda is like held hostage by Clara, and we have no idea why she's being held hostage. We're basically, we know that like Fernanda did something, and that's why Clara feels the need to like kidnap her, because Clara says like, we're to talk about what you did, but we get no, like, that's like kind of, you get the sense that that's the reasoning why Clara kidnapped her, but we have no real reason, no real idea what it is that Fernanda did. So obviously we are building up to kind of that point of what Fernanda and Annalise did and the other girls. There's like 4 other girls. There's a group of 6, but Fernanda and Annalise are like the main girls. We're building up to that, and we're kind of watching Clara as she gets settled into this school, and then I don't know, it's very interesting. It is very unsettling and dark. So this is labeled as LGBTQ plus fiction, but I do want to mention that there is homophobia in this, and it is pretty like depicted in a way where it can be upsetting, and so I do just want to kind of mention that. But I don't know, I'm very interested to see where this book goes, and I'm very interested to see kind of like if there's any like stylistic changes throughout this, like as our characters develop, are the stylistic changes going to, are the stylistic choices going to change? And so I don't know, we'll see. But I guess I rambled a lot about this book too. I just had like a lot of things that I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about in this, but I will pick this up, I don't know, later tonight, once I'm back home, and after walking toast and kind of done working for the day. Obviously I'm going to pick this back up, But yeah, so that's where I'm here. But I am going to head out to that coffee shop and get some work done. So I will check in with you later, either later tonight or tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. I am getting ready to head back to that coffee shop yesterday. It worked out really well. I got a lot of work done, and there's just a lot of like really intense world building in this project that I'm reading through. I'm like really impressed with it, actually, and I feel like this guy that I'm working for has a lot of potential. I don't know, I could definitely see him going places. So it's really exciting. It's a really interesting fantasy novel that I'm reading. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with kind of the beta reading process. Anyway, so I'm going back to that coffee shop that I was at yesterday because I am meeting a friend that I haven't seen in forever for lunch. She happens to be stopping by the city that I live in. So we're gonna meet for lunch, and the place that we're meeting for lunch is like right in that same area, so I can just like walk to it when I need to go over there. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. In terms of reading updates, I'm still reading Jawbone. I've got less than 100 pages left. This section, I'm on page 180. And I have no idea how I feel about this book. I'm enjoying the experience. I feel like it's an experience to read almost, because the writing style is so interesting, and just the structure of the book is chaotic and very interesting. Ma'am, do not bump that. Come here. I don't know, like some parts are really frustrating to read because it's so like whiplashy and chaotic that it just like is hard to get through. Other parts, like there was a whole chapter where I was like legitimately scared. Like I was freaked out and didn't want to move from my seat because I am like, the seat that I was reading in, I was like backed into a little corner, and I like didn't want to move from it because I was like so intensely like focused and drawn into the story, and then I was so freaked out. So it definitely like scared me at one point, at least so far. But like I said, I think I've got about 70 to 80 pages left. So my plan is to finish this tonight. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But I will check in with you once I'm done with this. Hello again. It is Thursday? It's Thursday afternoon. I meant to update you earlier about this, but I don't know, I didn't do it yesterday night, and then I just kind of forgot about it. I got up this morning, and I had the intention to finish my beta reading project that I was working on right away, and I was just very focused on that and forgot to update the blog. So I did just finish that and submitted my notes and everything and suggestions and everything to the client. It was the first half of like his manuscript, so I'm really hoping that he likes kind of the feedback that I gave and is satisfied with the job that I did, and that he will let me beta read the second half, because I mean, A, that gives me more beta reading experience. B, I was really enjoying the story, and I really want to see kind of where he goes with this book. And I was just having a lot of fun, like, working on this, I guess. I don't know, I was really enjoying it. So we'll see. But I did last night finish Jawbone, and I have very mixed feelings about this book because it's very strange, and it's definitely like, I think the problems that I have with it may be just like, it's just a me thing, because like I was super impressed, like I said, with the structure of the writing style and the way that this book was put together and the way that everything was told. It was like super interesting and unique, and I really appreciated like the amount of effort that went into the style. Did it make it a little harder to read? Yes, at times, but there was a purpose to that. And like I said, it did really like legitimately scare me at one point. And it's a very strange book. It's a very, very dark book. It made me very uncomfortable at many points, which means that it did its job. As a horror novel, it's supposed to make me uncomfortable. So, like, that is not a negative thing. The negative aspect, the parts that I didn't like, was that there were, like, sections of this book that I just was lost. I didn't understand, like, the conversations. I didn't understand what characters were trying to convey. I feel like it just kind of went like over my head. I was just reading this and I'm like, what are we even talking about? What is this supposed to symbolize? What is this supposed to mean? And I think that's just a me thing. I don't know. I personally had a hard time with some of these sections, even just like parsing through what the point of them was or what they were trying to say. That being said, there were many, many sections of this book that I was completely entranced and enthralled and just like engrossed in this novel. So it was a very like roller coaster of whether I was into it and vibing with it and like enjoying the experience or whether I was lost. And because of that, like, on Goodreads, I ended up giving it a 3.5. So I would recommend this book. Like I said, I think the problems that I had with it were more me issues, just not grasping things with my tiny little pea brain. So I would recommend it. However, I do think it is like important to keep in mind that this book does deal, like, it is a very dark and very uncomfortable novel. This is actually, I feel like, one of the most uncomfortable novels that I've read, and that's just simply because like some of the topics that it covered at some points were ones that typically make me uncomfortable, and it deals like those types of topics are like adolescents having like a sexual awakening, and it's not in terms of like the discovery of sexuality. That kind of stuff, like, that doesn't bother me. It's the sexual awakening explained through a horror lens typically makes me uncomfortable. I hope that makes sense. It's just, when we're talking about that kind of thing in terms of like adolescence, it just, I don't know, it's always made me uncomfortable. But that is, again, probably just like a personal thing. And it is a horror novel, so it's supposed to do that. But I just kind of wanted to throw that up there in case it's like a subject that you don't really like to read about. Because it's, I don't know what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, I think if you're looking for a horror novel and you have, you know, everything that I've said in mind, and you liked Bunny, and you liked My Heart is a Chainsaw, I think you will like this book. And then I did pick up a Forgery of Roses next. I took out the Dust Jacket because it's like, this is the Owl Crate edition. It is a Forgery of Roses. I took up the Dust Jacket because the Dust Jacket on this particular book with like the Owl Crate edition is this really weird like slippery material, and I didn't like holding it. I don't normally take off dust jackets when I read, so it normally doesn't bug me, but I did with this one because I don't know, it was just bugging me. Anyway, yeah, this is the Owl Crate edition. This is my pick for the Readathon prompt, read an unseasonal book. So this is set in winter, and obviously we're in August, so it's not winter here. And this is the summer mixtape readathon. So in this book, we are following a main character who's a portrait artist, but she has the ability that she can, in her paintings, when she paints a person or like an animal or something living, and she alters the appearance of that person or creature in the painting, it then alters the appearance of that person or creature in real life. And so she has that ability, but she has to keep it under wraps because it is sacrilegious, and people are also super greedy and want to kind of kidnap those types of people and use them for nefarious means. But she gets hired by this woman to paint her portrait, and her kind of secret abilities get discovered by the woman, and then the woman says that she won't turn her in or, you know, sell her off to the highest bidder if the girl agrees to use her portrait painting skills to bring her dead son back to life. And so then her main character is kind of like, well, I don't know what to do. So she goes off to this manor what the woman owns, where, like, you know, there's pictures of the dead son or whatever. But while she's there, she quickly realizes that there are some quite questionable things surrounding the son's death. And it kind of is supposed to turn into like a murder mystery. There's supposed to be kind of a romantic subplot going on. But I'm only like the first chapter in. I read like one chapter while I was drinking my coffee and waking up this morning. So I don't really have anything to talk about, but this is the book that I'm going to be reading next. So I will be, you know, reading this actually tonight. So that's the plan for later tonight. For now, I am going to just kind of scroll through the freelance job postings and start looking for my next job, and then walk toast, and Connor will be home at some point, and yeah, that's my plan for the rest of the day. But yeah, I just wanted to update you about Jawbone and then the next book, but I will check in with you when I have kind of my first thoughts on A Forgery of Roses. Hi everybody. Wow, I have done a horrible job updating you. It is Sunday. Yeah, I just completely neglected to update you Friday and Saturday, so I apologize about that because I did finish A Forgery of Roses, so I didn't even update you while I was reading this, but this was okay. This was okay. I have mixed feelings about it because there are certain aspects that I did really like, and there are other aspects that I was wanting quite a bit more from. So for instance, I did really like the mystery element. Like, I liked the murder mystery, how it all played out. I thought it was really clever. And I really enjoyed it. Were there aspects of it that, like, were pretty obvious that I saw coming? Yes. But, like, the overall answer to, like, what was happening, I really enjoyed. And I thought was really creative. One thing, there was one it was pretty small yet significant event that happened in the beginning of the book that did not ever get explained or like answered or addressed at all, and I do consider it kind of a plot hole because it just, with the answer of like everything that played out and everything that was explained, it doesn't make sense that it happened. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there was just that it was small, like I said, small, yet I felt like it was kind of significant because it was something that I was always wondering about in the back of my head while I was reading this. In terms of characters, I'm really sad because for a good long while throughout reading this book, I felt like the characters were just kind of flat and lackluster, and it took me a while to feel like they had any sort of substance, which I'm sad about because one of the characters has really bad anxiety, and I thought the anxiety representation was done pretty well, and I was happy to see that in this book because I have anxiety, but I was sad because it just took a while for the characters to feel like they had any sort of substance. I also kind of wanted more atmosphere from this story. The wintry atmosphere was done well, but the spooky mansion atmosphere, I feel like we started down that spooky mansion road and we kind of got a taste of it, of where Olsen is trying to go with this and like the spooky part, but we didn't keep it going, and I was kind of sad about that. Overall, like I do think this is like a decent YA murder mystery with fantasy elements. And that's how I would honestly classify it, as a murder mystery with fantasy elements, because the mystery part takes much more precedence and the fantasy is there, and it is like an important piece of the story, but it's not the main focus of the story. It kind of is, but I feel like the murder mystery takes a little more precedence. I was satisfied with many elements, but yeah, overall I was kind of disappointed with some other ones, but I did end up giving this 3 stars. And I do think if you're looking for a fantasy murder mystery, I think this is a fun one to pick up. It just didn't like blow me away, and since there was like issues that I had with the characters, and I was wanting more from the atmosphere, I just didn't rate it as high. But 3 stars, it's a very, very solid, good 3 stars. So it is Sunday morning. We do have the closing live show that I'm hoping to tune into for this readathon. I think my time, it's either noon or 1 o'clock, and it's 8:30 now, and I am like a bit stir crazy and desperate to get out of the apartment, so I think I'm going to run to a coffee shop and read for a little while, and I am going to pick up Trippy in Arcadia by Kit Mayquest, and I would be absolutely floored if I finish this today in time for the end of the readathon. So I'm not going to finish it, and I'm not planning on starting this with the intent of finishing it today. I'm very, very happy with the 4 books that I did get done during this readathon. 4 out of 5 reading prompts is really impressive for me. But I did want to start this one next. I am very excited about it. So it says, the perfect next read for fans of Mexican Gothic. And it says, a propulsive and atmospheric modern Gothic filled to the brim with all the splendor of the Great Gatsby and all the secrets, lies, and darkness that opulence can hide. It also sounds like it's supposed to be kind of like a revenge story. And I'm really looking forward to this one. I have heard a couple people put it on their TBRs, but I haven't ever heard of anybody like talk about having already read it. But I'm very excited. So I'm gonna go to a coffee shop just for a little while, and read this, and then come back in time for the live show, because I am excited to watch that and do some reading sprints. Hello! It is Sunday evening, so I am going to close out this vlog since this is the last day of the readathon. I didn't make it super far in Trippy in Arcadia. I really only made it 62 pages in. I just didn't end up spending as much time reading today as I had initially thought I was going to, which is fine. So I didn't finish the Nature on the Cover reading prompt. I actually don't really have much in terms of like initial thoughts aside from I'm liking this. I'm liking the writing style and the vibes of the story so far, and I'm very, very intrigued as to like where this is gonna go. And yeah, overall I'm very interested in, reading this book. So that's good, and I am enjoying it. In terms of like kind of what I did finish for this reading vlog, I did finish 4 out of the 5 reading prompts, which 4 books in 2 weeks for me is really good. I'm really happy with that. So I read Gideon the Ninth for I could have just brought them out here, but I didn't. So I read Gideon the Ninth for the book set in a different country. I read The Love Hypothesis for Spicy Book. I read Jawbone for Free Space / book based off of Summer Song. And then I read For Joy Roses for an unseasonal read. So, and overall, like, I Gideon the Ninth was 5 stars, The Love Hypothesis was 4, Jawbone was 3.5, and For Joy Roses was 3. So, I mean, I think overall it was a pretty positive, you know, reading experience over the past 2 weeks. I didn't have any complete duds or anything like that, so I'm just very, very happy with all of that, and I had a great time with the Readathon, so thank you to the wonderful booktubers. I will put their names up here and link their channels down below for hosting this. I had a really fun time, but I am going to close this vlog out and say goodbye. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comments if you participated in the Readathon, if you read any of the books that I read during the Readathon. Even if you didn't participate in the Readathon, just, you know, say hi, drop a hello. But yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. Bye!